Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
Well, welcome to Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series here on Simspeed TV, covering all of the action today from the Hockenheim ring. I'm David Haynes. Looks like I've got Nick Skariev alongside me and Jay Kennedy producing, and today it's one of the endurance rounds for these open-wheeler Skip Barber cars. That means a long 50-minute race, 25 laps. One or the other coming up in front of us as well, so that's going to be interesting to see. The pit stops, the strategy, the safety car, all of that unwind here at what is a very interesting and also fresh and shiny and new to iRacing track. It is the Hockenheim Ring, Baden-Württemberg, and this is where it is and what it looks like for anyone who's been living in a bit of a hole and isn't familiar. Of course, many times host to the German Grand Prix on a variety of different layouts. Some a little faster and more flat out than the one we're familiar with now, but don't let that fool you. The racing is still very, very good here in the forests. There's your facts. Current configuration from 2002, 4.5 kilometers in a clockwise direction. That turn 6, the far hairpin. What an overtaking opportunity that is in just about any car, more so in these little Skip Barbers. Slipstream up on each other very solidly through the parabolica, and that is where we're going to see a lot of the passing in the action, I think, happen, Nick.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. Thanks for having us. I was going to say, not at the beach this time. We're in the forest here, the German forest, so everyone's just lining up on the grid at the moment. I do believe Christian Perez, our overseas ring-in, currently leading the qualifying.
Yeah, endurance format. So they're going to be lining up for a rolling start here, and where they are is just before turn 11, Mobile 1. That comes into that arena section, old arena versus the Mercedes new arena on that side of the track there. A bit of PTSD for Sebastian Vettel in that section of the track, but for everyone else, get to use a little bit of that banking, reminiscent of the carousel at the other famous German track. So let's take a look at that grid then, and as you can see, the Spanish flag for Christian Perez at the pole position ahead of what's going to be a lot of Australian and New Zealand flags for the rest of the grid. So Alex McKellar joins him on the front row, and it is the front row for a 2-wide rolling start. Then we got Alex John, James Chastanov, Donald Sabinel, and Russell Clark. The next 6 for our quite plump, quite good-looking grid here today is Scott Barton, Josh Fidget-Johnston, Matthew Mites, Tim Cornt, Braden Martin, and Daniel Hetterscheid.
Yeah, just outside of that, those top 10 positions, Jeremy Bush there and John Schultz there on row 7, Dennis Hancock and Stafford Marsland on row 8, Scott Harvey and Stuart Crawford there on row 9. Sean Doyle, a little bit further down than where we normally see him there in row 10, Jacob Amwell, Peter Wilkinson, Leon Williams, Simon Dobner and Ira Felberg there on row 12.
And then the rest of our grid is Vic Bentveltzen, Craig Kermond, Cameron Cousins, and Ben Snell. No time for Farron Hancock's either. And race control, obviously not going to start. So I think that's most of our grid there. Time is now ticking down. They are about to get rolling to begin the formation lap for our rolling start. Strategy-wise, Nick, what are we going to expect? Obviously, at least one pit stop.
Yeah, that's right. I do believe it's a 40% fuel cap as well, so they will be expected to grab some fuel. I don't think they'll be taking tyres this time, so yeah, I reckon a lot of the strategy will be done in the pits. I was actually just looking, there's some really big hitters down that line, so I'd keep an eye on position 18 and 19th there of Stuart Crawford and Sean Doyle. We normally see those two nipping around that top 5 position, so those two very much further down the order at the moment.
Well, 50 minutes of racing at the Hockenheim ring is about to get underway. We've got a German pace car to lead our field at the German track here, and it is in. We're waiting on Christian Perez. He keeps the field backed up, and now he's going to rev into life. Great track conditions here. Looks like it's very quick, and he takes the green flag as already the first couple cars fan out single file. Behind, meanwhile, they're all going to have to work out their strategy through the fast kink of turn 1. Not seeing too much damage so far. Good conversion from qualifying for Christian Perez.
Yeah, we usually see with the Skip Barbers too, there's always a lot of squirming on these radial tyres and a lot of wheel spin, but everyone's getting through pretty cleanly here through the first couple of corners there. But Christian Perez there with the start, he did pull everyone up a little bit at the start and kind of almost caught the two Alexes of Alex McKellar and Alex John by surprise.
And here for third and fourth, looks like between Alex John and Chastanov. It's at Chastanov down the inside. Big hairpin. A lot of steering lock needed there to make your way through, and it is James Chastanov up one position now into third.
Yeah, great work there by Chastanov. We've seen that he's had a bit of bad luck here in some of the previous rounds there. Just seeing down the order, I think that might be Leon Williams there, so hopefully we'll be able to catch. I think he might have been in contact with Ben Velsen there, so we'll be able to catch that on the replay.
Absolutely big braking zone at the hairpin. Some are braver than others. What has transpired? We're going to look on the replay. Oh, wow. Okay, so I think real check up there from Leon Williams, and Ben Velsen has come in way too hot. This is at least my reading of that one.
Yeah, I think they might have been spooked a little bit by a brake lock up a little bit further up the road. So I think it's just one of those unfortunate racing incidents. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. It's a bit of a shame, especially when you're racing in that mid-pack. Everything is so badly tight there at the start.
It's a good thing we're racing in Germany so that Ben Snell can live up to his name. From the very back of the grid, he's up into 18th. He's more like Ben Schnell, but oh, who's that around? Was that from third? James Chastanov from third. Spinning it in turn 1. He's off the racing line, but it's still not fully safe there. He's going to get it pointing the right way around, but let's go one position forward into third place. Now, all of it evaporated. Did he get maybe beached on one of the curbs potentially, or was he helped?
Yeah, we'll have to have a look. Chastanov there, just with some really bad luck. It's quite arguable that he has the pace here this season, but yeah, I guess to finish first, you really do have to finish there, and it looks like that might have been just a spin there on his own. So very unfortunate there for Chassis there. He'll be absolutely kicking himself. You can see how much the car gets unsettled there. That curb's not all that big there, but little Skip Barbers, yeah, made light work of it.
Runs out at the far end of the track now. It's been a little bit covered in shade at the start. It is 19 in the air, 28 Celsius on the track, so the tyres ought to start to be warming up now. But I think clearly it's catching out some. That is a huge lockup all the way off there for Josh Fidge Johnston, and he's been very, very careful about where and how to rejoin. It's costing a lot of time. Might even have to park it. Is there a technical issue there? Might have already had some suspension damage or some steering damage there. As you can see, more side-by-side action as they now get into the flow of the race. That is the gravel, real rallycross line there, as they can do for this section of the Hockenheim ring. Bo Albert wants to scan the rallycross bits.
You can see those sparks there coming out from that Milo car, but as you were saying before, so unlucky there for the locked on racing lads. So it's pretty curious now. So Ben Snell will have to come in for fast repair, but I don't believe his fuel, the fuel tank limit's actually going to make it. So now that he's pulling in now, he will have to come in later on in the race.
Yeah, still 23 laps to go, I would think. Definitely too early to be able to fill and get to the end. Still a lot of racing ahead of us. What's here for Jeremy Bush? Well, the front track is a little too narrow for sure, plus the missing nose cone. So a bit of damage there for Jeremy Bush. We're going to take a look at what happened here. The answer is that nasty curb on the exit of turn 1 has sent him bushwhacking.
Almost the same. Sorry, I actually just caught an incident there at the hairpin, but exactly the same what happened with Chastanov there at only a lap or two earlier. So, but I think we might just have to catch a replay there. We had a pretty big incident there. I think we're actually in the replay screen now. Oh, actually, here it comes now. But a big side-by-side incident there at the front with one of the front groupers.
So Perez, who was your race leader, is around the outside. He loses out of position, but then that would be, looks like Russell Clark into the side of Alex John potentially there. I think that's what we might have seen. It was almost 3 wide through there as the lead changed hands through all of that as well.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there. I think that has to be one of the other unlucky people there. Russell Clark again having an unfortunate incident, as well as Chassis there. He really has that pace to stick it to him at the moment, but we've already seen a few big hitters out there now. So who is that? So it's Russell Clark, Ben Snell and James Chastanoff are out of this big front group here.
Yeah, indeed. Bit of damage on the car we're riding on board with here of Jeremy Bush. Obviously still trying to bring that one around to get to the pit lane. That would distract me how much that nose is wobbling, but that front right obviously is the section of the car most in need of some repairs. And he finds the pit lane here at Hockenheim Ring under the stewardship of that giant bottle of oil.
So it's just so as I was kind of saying before there, some of the big movers and shakers there, up 5 positions, Stuart Crawford and Sean Doyle, so 18th and 19th respectively. They're all up around that 11th and 12th mark there, so they'll be trying to push their way through the field. Not to get too impatient there and just pick each one off one by one, and also not forgetting that fuel strategy as well there. So Sean Doyle taking a really wide line there through that really slow hairpin at the end of the circuit.
Yeah, Doyle trying to get around the outside of Matthew Mites as they come towards the Mercedes corner arena section. He's managed to swoop around the outside of that kink and then into this bit here where you often don't want to run all the way out to the right-hand side, so you can get back to the left and open up your run out of this complex onto the short straight that leads you then towards the Sachs curve and the traditional arena. But this is looking backwards from your race leader, Alex McKellar. He's got a couple of little ducklings in tow in this train here. Pole sitter Christian Perez, I think playing the long game and the strategy-wise is still in the picture there. Meanwhile, Vic Bent-Veltsen, that car is sitting very low, and there's quite a lot of damage on Craig Kermond.
Yeah, I think Vic Ben Velsen having an incident a little bit early, so having a really unlucky run here at the moment. See what's happened there. He's
Kermond's wide and maybe loses it into the path of Ben Velsen there. Yeah,
super unfortunate there for Vic again. Almost been the innocent victim, so he's been hit from behind. I think 2 or 3 laps ago, he's now been hit from the front, so not having the race he really wanted there.
Last lap, your third place man, Alex John, set the fastest lap of the race, so he's enjoying having a bit of a double slipstream off Alex John and Christian Perez. They come through the parabolica towards the hairpin, the toughest, biggest stop on the circuit. Second and third willing to roll out of the throttle, and a big concertina effect between everyone in our top 5 that as currently runs is McKellar, Perez, John, Sabinal, and Scott Bartine. 111 driver there, really using the, I'm going to call it a quadruple toe down the Parabolica, and he got right up with everyone else when he got to the braking zone as well. So we're starting to see, as the time remaining in the race is in the top left now, that these guys are really settling into their rhythm, maybe thinking about their fuel consumption and when they're going to pit potentially. It's settled down, I think, for our top 5. Still seems to be kicking off everywhere else in the race, but the top 5 are thinking the long game. What's that? Russell Clark in front of Daniel Hetterscheid in the pursuing pack.
Yeah, so Russell Clark, with the damage limitation there, up in 7th at the moment, so he's not with that lead group. So, but the safety car later on might be able to get him onto the back there. So Daniel Hetterscheid having a pretty unlucky run last week, so sitting pretty well there in 8th position. His teammate Scott Barton
for the pit lane. Going for the pit lane early here is Scott Bartine. I think he'd almost been dropped off the top 4, for example. And do you know what? It looks like it's all the 111 guys are going for this early stop. Pit window open, maybe potentially. And they've decided to go for it. Well, there's one that's staying out, but the 2 cars currently on the lane for what looks like the first of actually scheduled planned stops, both of them 111 drivers. It leaves just 4 at the leading pack here. Perez, if he was looking racy, he'd already be pulling out of the slipstream, but he's just waiting in line. Alex John doing the same. Don't tell Donald Sabinal, because he's looking to the inside and then pulls out of that one.
Yeah, you'd have to admit there, Scott Barton definitely taking the strategy into effect. He knows that it would be incredibly difficult to outdrive this quadruple there at the front. Just seeing an overtake there, I think that might have been someone there on Russell Clark there, as we see Sean, I think that is Sean Doyle there in one of the 111 cars there. I think that might be Ira Felberg. So a few little positions. Oh, sorry, Stuart Crawford, sorry. So a bit of a drag race there down the back of the circuit there. Plenty of room there. Everyone's given each other. It's a pretty respected field that we have here.
Yeah, more elbows out from Sean Doyle, a man you picked out on the grid to potentially move forward. He's up 10 positions now. It was 9, and it'll be 9 if Crawford gets his way. Wow, real close there. No damage done, though. Sean Doyle from 19th on the grid up to 9th at the moment. Some of that has been helped by the pit stops we've seen, but nonetheless, he's been battling, getting his elbows out, and through Sachs curve there, takes a later apex, and might move on forward from here. Seeing that four cross the line again, and Donald Sabinal, the fastest of all of them, but couldn't eclipse his fastest lap from the previous races. Russell Clark on the lane. I think he's decided this is as early as he can hit, and I'm sure he wants to get the repairs.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So we'll very much like Scott Barton there and some of the other 111 cars, they're trying to go for that overlap at the moment. He knows that he was just that little bit too far back. I think he was sitting, I think about 3 or 4 seconds back, so there was no way that he could outdrive this group of 4 here at the front, driving so close with each other, and they all know to all sit in, like not pushing each other too wide or anything. You can see how wide the Hockenheim ring is at that section, so no one's diving down each other. They are taking this enduro style strategy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, just how early Christian Perez must have lifted from full throttle down the Parabolica there. He must be thinking some pit stop games, or aware that he's in a bit of a sandwich with the teammates of McKellar and Alex John. So how does he out-strategize those two who can work together? Clearly, for him, it's save as much fuel as possible. Now here is Crawford and Doyle once again. Doyle down the inside, as he likes to do. Crawford crossing back, and then going to try to go over under again on Sean Doyle.
Yeah, it was actually to just touch on what you mentioned there. Christian Perez definitely with the idea there, so he could potentially save just those few litres there. Whoa, both of those guys going a little bit wide there. I think they both kind of almost outbraked each other there, but thankfully keeping it on the straight and narrow. That has handed it to, I think, Matthew Mites there, so he's taken his position back a lot. I think the leading locked on motorsport team there, so both Mites and Doyle now into the pits.
Yeah, interesting. All of our top 4 still stayed out, but John Schultz, Matthew Mites on the lane, along with Sean Doyle as well. Jay Kennedy picks out Scott Barton because of all the drivers who have made a pit stop. He's currently the highest up the road in front of Daniel Hetterscheid and Russell Clark. Good change service going on for Mites, Schultz, Doyle, Harvey, Simon Dobner, all very popular on the lane, and that looks like Schultz is going to be the first out.
Yeah, Schultz doing really well there. So I was actually just looking at that top Milo car. I think that might be Alex John. Oh, yeah, so Don Sabanel. So he did miss out, I think, in one of the rounds this season there, but he's almost poised to do well. So you can see him. He's just hanging back that little bit, giving plenty of room there to Alex John. So making the most of that slipstream, it could almost be done in the pits. Like, if you consider there's only about, I think there's about 0.4 of a second separating these 4, maybe 0.5. You could easily make that 10th up just taking a litre or 2 less.
Barton is still the leading of all of the cars who've pitted, so the drivers we just saw, like Russell Clark, for example, have all come out behind him. John Schultz as well, Sean Doyle, etc. So still looking good for Barton the way he's going. And now from 4th, we are going to see Sabanel do something different to the top 3 who carry on. I thought he was doing very well, sticking with the leading trio of cars and just, using that slipstream at every opportunity. Perez is sideways, lays down some smoke in turn 1, and that forces Alex John wide. This is an opportunity for Alex McKellar to break the toe, scamper away if he so chooses. Too aggressive through turn 1 for Perez, and he got it sideways, somehow managed to save it. Of all the Perez's in the racing world, that is not a tyre whispering move.
Yeah, it looked like that was a pretty uncharacteristic move there by Perez, so it's actually almost been detrimental to both Alex John and Christian Perez, so they've now lost that toe. I think it's almost just over a second, so potentially they could kind of bring it back there. You can see Perez a little bit wide there coming onto the straight. That hasn't really phased him too much, but yeah, you can just see only about half a tyre width there off the edge of that curb there, so Alex John taking that evasive action, very lucky to not collect the back of him on that fast part of the circuit.
McKellar's lead 1.8 seconds with a little bit of traffic in between as well. So, well, what might he do? Might Alex McKellar take this as the opportunity to pit while he has a little bit of a lead, a little bit of an advantage? Or is he now, with the toe broken, the slipstream too far, going to try to run this one long? It presents an opportunity for sure. Meanwhile, Barton and Sabanel's come out behind Barton, but is he going to stay there?
Yeah, you could almost think that mistake there by Christian Perez has kind of moved him down a little bit. So we're just looking. It's Alex McKellar there at the moment, coming into the lane. So yeah, you absolutely picked it there, Dave.
Yep, and you can see Perez and John continue, but the race leader deciding to try to pit early. Very interesting. We anticipate that from about here they ought to be able to fuel and get to the end. Is that the case?
Yeah, I do believe it's something like that. These guys do spend so much time practicing with the Skip Barbers. I'm sure they're very much like we saw the 111 cars a little bit early on. The guys would have a pretty strong handle of where they go there. Gee, you can see that feedback of the Skip Barbers. You see all that understeer as they push through there. Alex McKellar, very quick stop there. Only 14.7 there in the box. So just seeing where he comes out in relation to Scott Barton. So
about 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds. It's actually pretty close this early and very quick pit stop from Barton. I think he's just outside of the slipstream of McKellar at the moment. I think he wishes he was. Be very good for him and that early stop if he was.
Yeah, you have to say pretty commendable work there by Scott Barton to get those laps back in there. Just saw off camera there Christian Perez there again with another little bit of a moment around the back of the circuit at the moment. So I think Alex John starting to look a little bit impatient there. We'll be trying to squeeze each other and work out when that pit stop is going to come back around. But just catching up here with, I think that is Scott Barton and I think possibly John Schultz. Oh, Spannel, sorry.
Second and third of all the cars that have pitted so far. And there is only very few, only 3 cars that haven't pitted at this point, and we're soon going to be able to scratch that down an even fewer number because it was popular on the pit lane a lap ago. Here is your top 2. And, well, they'll be keeping an eye on what the gap is between themselves and McKellar and Barton and Sabinal, but I think McKellar might be able to go for the lead. This is on board with Perez. Does he get it? Yeah, I think he's okay there. I think he got it down to speed, but you got to attack that pit entry, but you can't attack it too hard.
Yeah, he definitely had no wheel speed there on the front, locking up those brakes, so we'll see where he comes out. Just looking a little bit further down the circuit where McKellar comes out there, you can still see that gap there to Scott Barton. So Scott Barton almost close but too far there. So just see McKellar go through there now. We'll just see where that puts Perez in relation
This is good
to
with
Scott
Barton and Sabinal as well, though, because they're right in the mix against Perez and Alex John, who I think just had to yield out of that one as Barton and Sabinal came through. So Alex McKellar leading just over a 4-car pack of Perez, Barton, Sabinal, Alex John. Then Hedderscheid and Clark aren't so far back either. Almost at the halfway point of this one. And an unofficial fastest lap from Russell Clark. I wonder where he picked up an off-track exit of turn 1 potentially, and then still carried on at speed.
Yeah, I think we have caught that before as well, with Russell Clark being so strong in that mid-race, but unfortunately just being that little bit further down the order. Just actually having a quick look at some of the other Milano cars there. I think Ben Snell, they're currently sitting there in 21st, so not having a really good run there at the moment.
Well, that little bit of a gap that Alex McKellar was able to build right before the pit stops has paid very well to him, because he's now starting to see 4 drivers in his mirrors battling amongst each other that might let him just continue to remain unchallenged in the lead. He'd love to see Barton and Perez battle it too wide, and his 1.6 second lead could extend for McKellar.
Yeah, I think he will be keeping in the back of his mind as well with that safety car coming up. So he could almost just cruise in there, try and conserve those tyres and try and make sure keeping that fuel tank not too empty and keeping a little bit in there. Just see Perez going really wide there on that AstroTurf. He's definitely pushing a little bit. You can just see that little bit of a gap there opening up now between him and Scott Barton.
Get Christian Perez a FIFO job, because he just can't stop digging up the dirt everywhere, all around the track here, just using the track and then some. Sometimes that's been his demise, like on the run into turn 1. You can see he is trying everything to get within that 1 second of Alex McKellar to get back in the slipstream range, and in doing so, he's just starting to shake Barton and Sabinal. But as I look up and down my timing screen of our there is 30 drivers on track and running right now, no retirements yet, and about half of that field are involved in a battle of some kind. This is just one of them.
Yeah, just seeing, I think it's just so close, unfortunately, there for Russell Clark, having to put in all those moves there. So we're just catching up there with Sean Doyle, who's
battling with Chastanov. Chastanov's got a bit of traffic that he tries to dive down the inside of at the hairpin. And, not quite the same treatment given to Sean Doyle, who will be saying, "You are a lap down, Craig Kermond." Still trying to hang around the outside and unlapping himself on Sean Doyle. Wow, Doyle doesn't have any headlights to flash in this situation, but I'm sure he would if he could.
He does have a scary skull face there on the front of his car. I think we might have just saw it was one of the skips going a little bit wide there just in the background. So pretty unique paint there by Sean Doyle. Just catching up with a few people a little bit further down the line there with Matthew Mites there. Also,
Sean Doyle always goes better when his mum's tuned in.
yeah, also with Leon Williams. So just catching up with a few of the drivers that have had some pretty probably unlucky change of fortunes this afternoon. Just a bit of damage limitation now.
Yeah, if you sort of recap, your driver's having a good day. Scott Barton in 3rd is up 4 positions. Daniel Hederscheid in 7th is up 5. Ira Felberg's up 10 into 14th. But then there's a couple of losers. James Chastanoff is down 7 at the moment. That could still change. Matthew Mites down 12. And it's a zero-sum kind of thing. For every driver who has a good day and gains some positions, there's got to be someone else out there who's lost one or a couple. So the fastest lap of the race now, though, belongs to Christian Perez because he has caught that slipstream of Alex McKellar and caught up a lot of time. And the lead battle is now 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, so he's almost put that chase in there to McKellar and put the gap there on Scott Barton. So I think if you were Alex John or Sabanel there, you'd start to get pretty concerned. Just hearing a bit on the race radio, I think there might be an incident there with Sean Doyle, but just catching up with these two at the moment. But Christian Perez definitely looking like he's the stronger out of these two. It does look like he's going to line up for an attack there at the moment. Christian Perez with the fastest lap.
The gap that was between all the chasing cars and Alex McKellar is now a gap from Christian Perez to the remaining chasing cars. Perez continues to find a little bit of the grass and a little bit of the dirt everywhere he can. 1st and 2nd together, and Perez has dropped Barton, Sabanel, Alex John, and in fact, no, Russell Clark and Daniel Hederscheid didn't quite catch the 2nd pack on the last lap.
I was actually just watching the feedback there from Perez's car. That he has that real Spanish kind of flair to his driving. He's super aggressive there. You can see McKellar keeps it in quite tight and quite smooth there, but Perez definitely taking a different approach there. Really throws the car in at the moment there, so keeping it in pretty tight here. I think he'll probably just kind of sit it out there at the moment. Christian Perez did sit there in that 2nd place position for a little while.
And this is the challenge for the lead. Perez around the outside of the parabolic. It's going to be the inside for the hairpin. And I think McKellar is smart enough to realize, let's let that happen. A lot of time left in this race to attack. Meanwhile, 3rd, 4th, and 5th trying to force out Barton. And I think they do so. Sabanel and Alex John both go up a spot. Put Barton back into 5th.
Yeah, Sabanel, the big winner in that. I think he was sitting around in that 5th place only a lap or two ago there, so moving his way up a little bit. He obviously feels like he might have the pace there to pull in the front two there.
Someone's got to do it because the gap extended almost a second, I think, on the last lap. As we're past the halfway point of the race, Perez in the lead, and then, well, the top 5 in the shot there. You can see how much that next group want to close it if they could. And Clark and Hederscheid in 6th and 7th. John Schultz, Braden Martin, Tim Cornt, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, Hederscheid having a really good run here at the moment. Just
Barton's
as I
on the
said
pit
that,
lane again.
Yeah, Scott Barton coming into the pits, so I think that might have been potentially from coming
Is this
in
a 2-stop race?
just a little bit early there, and I've just seen, I think that another Milo car a little bit further down. I think that might have been Russell Clark
Schultz
or
again.
John Schultz there, yeah.
Well, I think we're seeing a lot of the drivers who pitted early in again. I suspect this is a 2-stop race.
Yeah, potentially might have given them just a little bit too much credit on guessing their fuel. It does get really tricky with these fuel caps as well, so you can't really just kind of guess. You just say, oh yeah, I'll just add in whatever the amount of laps that I normally do, and that'll be fine. You've really got to take that fuel cap into account there. I've just caught off camera there. I think that was Sean Doyle outbraking himself a little bit, so it's just giving him that gap a little bit further up.
Oh, this is Doyle, because he's side by side with Chastanoff, heading towards the same section of track. Doyle has the inside. Chasty runs the outside, gives that position up, but then tries to straighten up early so that he can get back in the slipstream and keep this battle alive. Hear the pit lane alarm again for Ben Snell and Vic Bent Veltson. So, and in fact, for Ben Snell, it's his third time on the lane.
Yeah, so Ben really having a race he'd rather forget there. Also qualifying very well down the line there. So we usually see Ben usually nipping around that top 5 position there, but Christian Perez into the lane again there. So McKellar choosing to stay out there. So this could be a pivotal moment now in this race.
Much cleaner pit entrance this time for Perez, and he's being followed by a lot of the other leading lights. Alex John, Russell Clark. Who's in front of Russell Clark? Be Daniel Hederscheid. False advertising, by the way. That giant bottle of oil on top of the pit lane building still says 1 litre on it, which it clearly isn't, because I've seen smaller water towers.
Also might be a different thing of weight as well.
Oh, that would be just too sneaky. Safety car is out now, by the way, so we'll probably keep our camera on this one.
There you go.
There we are.
Not semi-synth either. It's the full synth. So yellow flag coming out. That's really going to play. As I can hear Christian Perez singing over the race radio. So it's absolutely worked out for him. Unfortunately for Alex McKellar, choosing just to stay out that 1 extra lap, unfortunately, is not going to work out for him. But
yeah, big gift for everyone who's already made their second stop. So reading down the order of drivers who have made their second stop already, you've got Christian Perez, you've got Alex John, Scott Bartzine, Daniel Hederscheid, Russell Clark, John Schultz. Those are awesome drivers. You'll be very, very pleased. McKellar, Sabinal, Braden Martin, Tim Corn, Sean Doyle, James Chastanoff, Stuart Crawford, maybe less than pleased. Maybe we can hear Braden Martin or someone else cry about it on their podcast.
it would be, there'll be the Locked On Lads podcast of retribution, potentially.
Apparently, I've got an outstanding invite for that, so maybe I should take it up at some point.
So here we go. So
go cry about it, Jay Kennedy.
Here we go. So
Barney gets, I think, paid per meter that he waves that flag. He's close to doing a swimming stroke with that there as well, making sure everyone knows to get ready to queue up behind the Porsche safety car. It's a full Grand Prix size lap here, so at safety car speeds, this is going to eat up quite a bit of the race. You can see Alex McKellar, Donald Sabinal wish it would rush around faster so they could get into the pit lane to complete their final stop. But alas, before they can get to pit entry, the whole field is going to be stacked up behind them. Trying to take a look how many drivers we have on the lead lap at the moment. And I think the answer is, goodness, at least 25 of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty...
I think we're down at 26. Is this out of fuel? We're looking at Ira Felberg. Come on, mate. Default key for using the starter motor to bump off is S. No, J. No, I is the ignition. Just S for the starter. Just S for the starter. So, first gear, hit the starter. Come on, Ira.
Oh, it's not looking good there.
It's no red.
And he's also
there.
he'll have to escape out pretty soon because the field will be coming around, and you can imagine Alex McKellar will be coming in pretty hot there to get his stop done and try not to lose too much time on the rest of the field. They have a little bit more of the lap to go there at the moment.
Safety car speed 80 kilometers an hour. There's an autobahn beside the track here where I think they're going a bit faster than that. It will feel like crawling for everyone up the front at the moment. Here is Christian Perez, native of Barcelona, apparently. Good to know.
I think we might even be hitting that track maybe a bit later on. I know that Barcelona has featured heavily on a lot of these broadcasts and races, potentially, so we might only be just down the road. See a few of those cars there pacing along the back, so it really is going to bunch up the field quite a lot.
11 a.m. in... no, 11 a.m.? 10 a.m. in Spain at the moment.
It's all right. He's taken time off during the siesta lunch break there to get his Aussie car fix in between.
And here, finally, pit lane is open. McKellar is going to race in as quickly as he can without getting penalised. And there's going to be many, many other drivers following him in here, I would imagine. Yeah, so much so that you have to wait all that time for Christian Perez, who's staying out on track. And Perez accompanied by Alex John and a few others who've made their early pit stop. There's more drivers on pit lane than not, I would dare say, at the minute.
Did see also that 111 car there in the foreground, so potentially that might have been either RFLberg making it, which I didn't think was too likely there because we did see him almost come to a complete stop there, but seeing so many cars there in the lane at the moment, there's plenty of Milos, plenty of 111s, a couple of the locked on cars as well there, so that's definitely going to put Perez there in the hot seat. It could be potentially played into the hands there of Ben Snell. So we did see Ben Snell, I think, pit 3 times there. So currently sitting in 6th place. So this might be the change of fortunes that he needs.
If you're going to pit lots, pit early. That's the motto now. As your updated order is Christian Perez, Alex John, Scott Barton, Daniel Hederscheid, Russell Clark, Peter Wilkinson, Ben Snell, Jeremy Bush, Jacob Anwell, and the top 10, rounded out by Alex McKellar, who did manage to get out still in 10th. Lights still on that safety car and that truck. And there's an ambulance on the outside of the hairpin, but I don't think it has any lights that come on under safety car, which is a shame because there's some other tracks like VIR where you've got emergency vehicles like fire trucks that have their lights come on under caution. Ooh, someone take some new tyres and they're looking for some tyre temp there. That would have been a unique strategy under... Oh, I take it back, the ambulance does have flashing lights. Why did I ever doubt the Germans?
Alright. I'm a bit like Squiddly Diddly at the moment. Just doing a few admin bits and pieces while the field is bunched up.
Some of those admin bits and pieces might include that there's a couple drivers off the lead lap who are getting a wave around. Scott Harvey, Craig Kermond, a few others. So we did have a lot of the field, 25 or so on the lead lap still. But now Harvey and some others are getting waved around back onto the lead lap as well. Really wide bit of the track there because it's part of a drag strip. And so your big winners, talking about positions gained, Peter Wilkinson in 6th started 21st on the grid. Their early pit stop calls have obviously worked pretty well for him. Sunny Coast, Queensland, lovely part of the world. Except yesterday when a thunderstorm came through, but it's looking bright and sunny for him because he is 15 places gained. Ben Snell behind him, 21 places gained. So their strategy, they've played it well by trying to pit early, making sure they get all their stops in before the safety car, and they've very luckily been rewarded.
Beautiful. I think that's the admin under control. So Craig Kermit, Ira Philberg, Farron Hancocks and Cameron Cousins all been sent back around the car and back onto that lead lap.
On board with your race leader, and he can see the lights are off on the Porsche. What he can't see here at this turn is on the outside where the Jim Clark Memorial is. Can't really see it from the cockpit, but it's there. Bet you Jay doesn't have a camera for that. He's trying. He's gonna send a cameraman out to the Jim Clark Memorial. It's one of our cars getting waved around. There it is. It's not a camera, Jay. That's pre-recorded, and I know it. But trust us, that's where it is, on the outside of what I would call turn 2 there. Another one of those great little features that iRacing have made sure they've included. There's all sorts of little Easter eggs you often find around some of these tracks. Dale Jr. is always one of them. He gets around. He's been everywhere. Sometimes he's on a yacht near Phillip Island. Sometimes he's on a giant cruise ship in the port of Long Beach. But some of the other great little things they always make sure to include is that Jim Clark Memorial, the Senna and Ratzenberger Memorial at Imola, some other things like that. All those little touches, not forgotten at the real tracks, not forgotten on iRacing either.
There we go. So lights are off on the safety car here. So 9 minutes to go. So it's almost the dynamic has changed now from that almost endurance style race. It's going to be a straight up sprint race there. So it is a single file restart here. So they'll all have to bunch up and stay in that single file there. But Christian Perez there in charge of proceedings.
Sure it is. You can see about 8 minutes left. We get racing. We're doing lap times just underneath 2 minutes. So, if we're unlucky, it'll be 4 to go. If we're lucky, it'll be 5 to go. But that's kind of from our perspective. I think if you're Christian Perez, you'd be hoping that they'd wave the checkered flag now. He likely have... It is touch and go between 4 and 5 laps, I think. Real touch and go. Fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 56. So just short of 2 minutes. 8 minutes now. I think it's still 5 laps. I think it's still 5 laps to go as Christian Perez now leads the field. And he's put the power down. He goes, trying to put a bit of space between himself and Alex John. Then the 111s of Barton and Hetterscheid 3rd and 4th. And Russell Clark in 5th. We're racing again at the Hockenheim ring.
Yeah, I think that might have been yeah, I think that was Ben Veltzen. That was big Ben Veltzen there, pulling to the side.
Yeah, I could see him rapidly drop down the timing screen, so he must have decided he was... I've had a problem or a penalty or something, but wanted to let everyone else go. That he did. Christian Perez, 0.7 of a second ahead of Alex John at the moment. Not enough to break the slipstream, but enough that John and Barton and Hetterscheid need to worry more about their own battle than the leader who's trying to get away. Concertina effect galore into that hairpin though, as they are side by side for, that'd be 5th and 6th, I think, between Snell and Clark, the teammates, wheel to wheel. Six almost starting to get away from the rest. Leading 7th here is Jeremy Bush and Wilkinson side by side, as Alex McKellar trying desperately to move his way back forward through this pack. It's not proving that easy on the restart lap.
Yeah, we're just seeing a bunch out there. Gee, there's a really tight there in the mid-pack between a few of them now. Oh, just see, I think one of the locked-on cars there. Bit of rallycross there from the Skip Barber.
Yeah, not done yet through the Sachs curve. Sabinel in the middle of the battle here with Braden Martin right behind him. And hello, Sean Doyle on Tim Cornt.
Yeah, Tim Cornt actually has almost been the quiet achiever. Haven't seen too much of him there at the moment. So he's sitting around that top 10 mark there at the moment. Or just a little bit outside there in 14th. So having a pretty good run here at the moment. See so much sliding there with the cold tyres. He's locked on teammate Braden Martin a little bit further up the order there.
Castanov getting past Jacob Anwil here. Anwil in white and pink. Now has Sabinel looking around the outside. Long straight here is Braden Martin going to be able to pick up a good slipstream on either of these guys. We're going to find out. We're also going to see who gets around the outside, then down the inside here at the hairpin. Good pop of tyre smoke, of course.
Yeah, you can see Jacob Anwell, they're pushing just a little bit wide, almost using the track and then some. So Jacob Anwell we haven't really seen too much of, but he's definitely making it count now. I think he's sitting around that 8th or 9th position. Oh!
Real slidey from Anwil on the inside. Has Sabinel come around the outside. Braden Martin sneaks through as well. There's a little more lining up here. Sean Doyle might be next. Martin's, in fact, got his nose in front of Sabinel, but trying to come around the outside. We've seen how easy it is to push wide here and end up in the dirt. Somehow, Braden Martin keeps it on the road. Brisbane, what a beautiful place.
Yeah, Don Sabinel really bleeding there, unfortunately.
Oh, now he's off the road.
Oh, he's tagged
Contact suspension broken. Right rear suspension near instantly broken for Sabinel there, and he's in a world of trouble. I can hardly even get drive off that right rear wheel, unfortunately. Lightest touches in the wrong way as rejoin from Martin left him wanting more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely just one of those potential incidents. We did see Anwell slide down the order a little bit there with his slide, so you can see Braden Martin coming across there. So lucky there not to take out any other cars as he came across the other track there. So
lay down a bit of a smoke screen too.
That's exactly right.
So here's the top two. Christian Perez he's going to be taking the white flag at the end of this one. Not decided for the podium yet. Ben Snell, big move down the inside of Bartin, who tries to come back at him. No dice just yet. But they are tantalizingly out of touch of Perez and Alex John. Further back, it's like Sean Doyle again. Braden Martin, who's lucky to be alive, counting every lap that he has left as a gift. Oh, Doyle! Oh, contact made. And huge suspension damage there as well for poor Tim Cornt.
Yeah, really unlucky there for Tim Cornt. It's just like these tyres are just a little bit too cold there. We could see that not much he could have done with that. Just a bit of an innocent bystander, but Sean Doyle able to get back away now.
Doyle beached it on the curb there, snapped back the other way, and I think John Schultz actually it was that clipped Cornt and damaged the rear suspension. We're going to see it again here on board with John Schultz. He just damages his front left as he's gone and clipped the rear suspension, which we've seen from a couple incidents now. Incredibly fragile. Snell and Barton have caught Perez and Alex John, so it's a 4-car battle for the lead now as well. There is Perez, there is John, there is Snell. Barton is just with them as well as they're going to pull onto the long back straight. White flag has already been waved for them, so if John isn't close enough to make a move now, he's running out of opportunities.
Yeah, you'd have to say there. Ben Snell all the way there from 28th position. Almost thought we definitely counted him out there at the start. I think he almost had 3 pit stops or something like right at the start of the race, but absolutely needed to be there at the business end, currently sitting there in that 3rd place. And Alex John and Christian Perez obviously been sitting there up the front for most of the race there. Had some pretty good luck there playing to their hands.
Heddershide and Clark are trading 5th place back and forth. You see them 2 wide in the background, but John is starting to just manage a little bit of pressure on Christian Perez. That's Russell Clark going around the outside. We'll give him the inside for the next bit, but not the greatest amount of speed. Meanwhile, McKellar and Chastanov in this battle for 7th. McKellar, caught out by that safety car, might just recover to 7th. All attack from Alex John, but he's not close enough to Christian Perez with just a couple of corners to go. He's past the best overtaking opportunity on the lap, and you think Perez will probably be able to bring this one home. Meanwhile, that's Clark with the inside at Sachs Curve. Not done in the battle for 5th, but it is just 2 corners to go. Make one smooth arc for Christian Perez. Seems like he's got enough fuel as well. The checkered flag will come up to greet him for another win in Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series, the endurance race from the Hockenheim ring. Well done, Christian Perez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and it's a side-by-side battle between Chastanov and McKellar. McKellar around the outside to hold the speed and resign James Chastanov to 8th place.
Yeah, you'd have to say persistence really paid off there when we've seen Ben Snell, Russell Clark. I think that also might have been Chastanov as well, all having incidents right at the start of the race, but the persistence has paid off, all of them there with, I think, around a top 5 position. So great work by those guys.
Well, let's look at those results. The Spanish flag flies up the top in Ozicar Skip Barber Series for Christian Perez, who might not have led all the laps, but he's gone from pole to the win. A bit convoluted in the middle, but congratulations to him ahead of Alex John, Ben Snell, Scott Barton, Russell Clark, Daniel Hetterscheid, Alex McKellar, James Chastanov, Braden Martin, and Stuart Crawford.
Yeah, just outside of that top 10, Matthew might say was locked on. Sean Doyle doing pretty well, a little bit further down the back. John Schultz, Dennis Hancock, Peter Wilkinson, Stafford Marsland having a good run there in 16th position. Simon Dobner, Darren Lessure, Ben Velson, and Leon Williams rounding out the top 20.
Still on the lead lap, we got Jeremy Bush, Jacob Anwell, Ira Felberg, who obviously managed to get a bit more fuel back into that thing. Tim Cornt, Farron Hancock's, Cameron Cousins, Donald Sabinol, and then... Oh, no, that changes around. Good on you, Sabinol, grabbing a position on the last lap ahead of Cameron Cousins. Craig Kermond 1 lap down, and then kind of retirements, it looks like, for Scott Harvey and Josh Fidge Johnston. And then in 31st that we're not going to show was some guy called Nick Scariev who didn't even turn a single lap. But we'll excuse him for that one. Go a bit faster next time, because I think Alex McKellar would have rathered it.
We'll have to have the Spanish national anthem playing potentially, but there is no. Thankfully, we don't have to sing it because there is no words to it.
Facts that I didn't know. Well, we are, I think, actually going to have some of them cycle back into the commentary box here so we can have a word with them. Not Christian Perez. He's still busy doing donuts out on track and celebrating. Good for him, I suppose. He's morning off to a fantastic start. So let's go to 3rd place then, where we can get Ben Snell. Tell us about why it says 3 pit stops next to your name and how you still managed to stand on the podium.
I'm going to call it superior pit strategy. Just jumping the safety car at the end and got a whole bunch of free spots.
Well, there you go. That's a reason to stick around and race it out towards the end. Safety car was a bit late and really did reward everyone who'd front-loaded their pit stops. Was that always the plan, or is it a strategy you were forced into?
Oh, it was definitely a strategy I was forced into. I was involved in a little bit of a bust up on lap 2 and broke my front left suspension. And I managed to hobble it back to the pits without having a tow. So it kept me in the fight-ish, or kept me on the track and in the lead lap. So I just with the first stop, I went as early as possible to try and counteract an early safety car, and then I actually jumped in the pits a lap before my fuel window was open, trying to make sure I jumped the safety car in that one, and it turned out working really well.
I personally always find a little bit of a mixed bag when we take these Skip Barber Formula cars to a big Grand Prix Formula One style track like a Catalunya or a Hockenheim ring here, but I think all went pretty well today, and there's actually some fairly good battles out there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good track for racing because you do have those big long straights and a couple of heavy braking zones where you have a real defined place that you can make a move. And then there's some of those corners that are a little bit more borderline, and it definitely mixes up the racing. And it's good to have a track that's still fairly drafty, but it's technical enough that you don't have just a big giant draft pack throughout the whole race.
We've got your biggest fan in the crowd below the podium here. Any shout outs and thanks you need to give for Russell Clark?
Oh, of course. Shout out to Ira, as always, for putting on the series. It's great. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Hello to Russell and Team Milo, and also hashtag Free Mitch.
No. Well, congratulations, Ben Snell, and your 25 positions gained today.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we got second place, Alex John, standing by as well. So we're going to grab him so he can have a word with Nick Skariev.
Yeah, good work there, Alex. You're at the front there, at the business end, pretty much the whole time, which we didn't really see too much of. We saw a few people drop off and a few people come to the front. What was your strategy there?
Early in the race, it must have been really boring to watch because we were all just sitting back fuel saving on poor Alex McKellar. Got Perez and I the extra lap, which in the end I don't think really made too much difference. But after the safety car and Perez and I really picked our pit strategy perfectly. It was just a matter of trying to hang on to Perez, and I got close with 2 laps to go, and then I absolutely stuffed it into turn 8, missed my braking marker on the second last lap, and Perez, such a technically sound driver, I just couldn't get back to him to have a go into the final lap on the hairpin.
Yeah, it was actually quite unique there, seeing the different driving strategies between yourself and Christian there. I really think that kind of that neater driving line that you seem to take seems to pay off. So looking forward to the next round here.
Yeah, absolutely. Racing was fantastic around here. I just wish we had got a bit more of a chance to race around here. We were sort of just all tiptoeing around, just waiting for the safety car. But it was good fun.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, definitely congratulations, and as well as knocking out your teammate there with Alex McKellar there. Any people you'd like to thank?
Oh yeah, of course, Alex. He had a bit of a rough night with the old safety car, so hopefully he gets a better run of it next week. But red and oval, so I think anything's going to happen.
Yeah, beautiful, Alex. Well, congratulations on second place. That's some definitely some great points for the team and for yourself.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Well, now it's just left to get to our winner, who we have been able to grab. Vamos, Christian, you are a winner. Well done.
Hey, hello.
Pole position, led a lot of laps, and the winner at Hockenheim.
I tried to push at the beginning, but the track is so drafty, so I just let Alex by, save a little bit for an extra lap in case the safety car comes before first stop, and then just try to push as hell because I wanted to make fuel space on the car to pit early because I knew I was able to save a lot of in the safety car. So yeah, very fun race to think in a lot of things. So yeah, congrats to all of them, to Alex and Ben for the podium too.
You also had the fastest lap of the race, so
Yeah.
ticking all of the boxes. But we did see some tyres on the grass at turn 1 and a big slide that cost you some time.
Yeah, well, on turn 1, especially maybe on the okay, I know what you say. Yeah, I took the rear wheel too much on the curve and just try to not crash. Alex saved super well because he didn't crash me, so I have to say thank you to him to save my race. And yeah, I have a little bit luck of there.
And 2 pit stops as well. Your first time on pit lane, I think also was a little bit scary.
My first time, maybe. I didn't notice.
Okay, well, congratulations, well done. Winner of another race in Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. Who do you need to say thank you to?
Well, to the Milo team. I think they are amazing guys. It's super fun to fight with him.
Well, hopefully we see you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Ciao, ciao.
See ya. Well, Nick, awesome to speak to everyone on our podium, and an interesting insight from all of them about this endurance race at Hockenheim Ring.
Yeah, it definitely. It is going to be a bit of a mixed bag this season. So we've seen some of the sprint races there with the different tracks. This endurance format, I do believe there's a couple of ovals coming as well. So it's definitely keeping everyone on their toes. It's not really favouring. We've seen maybe in some of the previous seasons, just those talented drivers week in, week out. So now with all these different challenges up ahead, it's really going to open it up.
Well, you see it there. Next week, here on Simspeed TV, USA Speedway for Ozicar Skip Barber Formula Series. That will be a little bit different than Hockenheim Ring, let's be honest with ourselves, but it should be interesting as well. I'm led to believe it will be half an hour earlier. Check your local guides for times. I've been David Haynes, Nick Scariev with me, Jay Kennedy producing. Thanks for tuning into Ozicar Skip Barber Formula Series this week.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?